Hello everybody, welcome back to another video here on the MattVidPro AI YouTube channel. We've got a big one to talk about today. ChatGPT Agent is here. We didn't really get a warning about this. OpenAI didn't really say anything. They just said, hey, we're going to do a live stream, and then dropped this. And it's honestly pretty damn cool. So the headline here from OpenAI is that they're bridging research and action. Think about the OpenAI Deep Research tool and think about the OpenAI Operator tool. They've essentially taken these two models and combined them together into one thing. And we'll talk more about the implications of that and actually how they did it. But first, I just want to show you guys what this thing is all about. For this live stream, Sam Altman himself actually appeared, usually signifying a more serious drop. So one of the most interesting things about this is that not only does it have an inner chain of thought like you typically would see with like O3, a top-of-the-line thinking LLM, but it also has the capability to run a virtual computer, a virtual environment to interact with, browse websites, and do a whole bunch of other stuff as well. You can actually see all of this happening in real time. It's being streamed to your ChatGPT window. Just watching this thing work is honestly pretty incredible because it does feel human. It can browse and use a PC like you'd expect while thinking exactly as a human would. It's kind of creepy. It's like a human using a computer, but it's directly integrated and also completely artificial. On all of the tools that this model actually has access to, they trained it with reinforcement learning on those tool actions. So it understands how to use the tools in a very deep way, and it seems to allow them to push agentic capabilities with LLMs a lot further. In terms of the other things that it can do, like I said, it's got terminal access, but it can also use APIs, of course, run code, create new files, and file systems. I'm really interested to see if it can download things off of the internet. We'll talk some potential use cases in a little bit, but it can also send you screenshots. So if you were booking something, for example, and there were limited dates for availability, it can actually take a screenshot of what it's looking at right now, saying here's what the website says for availability and dates, and then send it to you. And it could be a part of its overall report or response. In OpenAI's own words, ChatGPT Agent is designed for iterative, collaborative workflows, far more interactive and flexible than previous models. As ChatGPT works, you can interrupt at any point to clarify your instructions, steer it towards more desired outcomes, or change the task entirely, which is great. That's one thing previously about Operator where it's like just not as malleable, not as flexible. You send it off to do something basic and it sometimes comes back with what you're looking for, but it's limited. It will seamlessly pick up where it left off with the new information, but without losing previous progress. And that is a huge deal. If the context of the task is truly more integrated, like they say here, it's going to feel a lot more like working with a real human rather than a rigid bot. And check this out. ChatGPT itself may proactively seek additional details from you when needed to ensure the task remains aligned with your goals. If it takes longer than anticipated or it feels stuck in a certain area, you can always pause it, ask it for a progress summary, or stop it entirely and receive partial results. If you have ChatGPT on your phone, it will send you a notification when it's done with your task. And I do want to make a highlight about seeking additional details. In the live stream, they showed a demonstration where they created a sticker for a dog. By the way, it did that with the image generation API access from OpenAI, but of course it doesn't have any way to pay for the physical stickers that are going to be shipped out to the user. So it'll pause the whole thing and say, hey, time to enter your credit card information, something it can't do itself. Let's talk about real-world utility and use cases. The first one they mentioned here is automating repetitive tasks, converting screenshots or dashboards into presentations composed of editable vector elements, rearranging meetings, planning and booking offsites, and updating spreadsheets with new financial data. And maybe you could even get that data right from your email, for example. This thing can actually connect to Google Drive and other applications that actually need you to log in. In personal life, you could use it to plan and book travel itineraries, design and book entire dinner parties, or find specialists and schedule appointments. I've got some other use cases of my own we actually get some benchmarks. So let's take a look at humanity's last exam. We know Grok 4 just crushed this, but how does this new ChatGPT agent hold its own? Well, we can see just the model alone with no tool access is only about a 23%. That's not a bad score on this difficult benchmark. It is a little bit better than O3, for example, with no tools. Grok 4 with no tools is about as good as O3 with tools, around 25%. And Grok 4 with tool use sits at about 38.6% on this benchmark. How does ChatGPT Agent do with its full tool use? 41.6, pretty darn close to the absolute top of the leaderboard, and better than Grok 4 with tools. So yeah, this thing's kind of the new king. Although Grok 4 heavy, their multi-agent version of Grok 4 scores up to a 45%. But still, this thing benchmarks well. Honestly, I don't think it's that fair to compare this model with no tools. You're never going to be using this model without tools. The whole point is that it's reinforcement learning trained on all of the tools and how to use them properly. And it's given access to an environment with tools. Like, that's kind of the whole point. In this one right here, I find particularly interesting because a human is benchmarked in this. We can see GPT-4o on Windows with Excel gets an 18.4%. That's not great. Copilot is barely better, but the big bad O3 is a little bit better than GPT-4o, but ChatGPT Agent is a whole heap better than O3. In fact, you could almost add the GPT-4o score onto the O3 score and get the ChatGPT Agent score. And then we give ChatGPT Agent an XLX document access. Bam, it jumps all the way to 45.5%. Pretty darn shocking, honestly. That's almost double the original O3 score. Now, how does a human do? Well, humans are pretty damn good at spreadsheets. We invented them after all. 71.3% for a human. You can see the AI isn't fully at actual human performance yet, but it is getting there. It's clawing its way up quick. Investment banking benchmark, it also does better than O3 in deep research. Not only is accuracy going up, but even mean accuracy is increasing. It is not a fluke. It is consistently better. And it's also better at agentic browsing by a considerable amount. We're jumping from around 50%, and O3 is my current daily driver. ChatGPT Agent is at almost 69%. Nice. For Web Arena, this is real-world web tasks and agents competing. You can see this thing is coming scary close to human levels. Only marginally better than 4.0 and 0.3, honestly, but a human's only at 78.2. This should just show you how far we've already come with agentic browsing. When AI browsing first released, it was absolutely terrible. Now, it's like magic. Let's talk about some availability, though. I know this is a huge deal. Thank the AI gods, because it's actually going to be available on Plus and Team users. The rollout starts today for Pro. All Pro users should get access by the end of the day, while Plus and Team users will get access over the next few days. Enterprise and Education users will get access in the coming weeks. Pro users have 400 messages per month, while paid users only get 40 messages per month, but that's still a pretty decent amount. That's over a message a day for sure on just the $20 a month Plus plan. And if you actually need additional usage on the Plus plan, for example, you can get some credit-based options apparently. So what do I recommend? I honestly recommend Plus. Unless you're an entrepreneur and you're already actively using ChatGPT every day to create value, I don't think the Pro plan is really going to be worth it. 400 messages a month is a lot. If you need to do the work of multiple people and you need to send out that many messages, then have at it. But for me personally, I'm going to stick with the Plus plan at 40 messages a month. Don't need to pay an extra $180 just to get access a couple days early or have an ungodly message limit. This is a huge bummer. They still can't enable access for European Economic Area and Switzerland just yet, coming in the future, but I think it's got something to do with the laws in those countries. Operator will be going away and is going to sunset in a couple of weeks, but deep research seems to be sticking around for now. Deep research is still pretty darn great for actual legit research paper style stuff. They talk a lot about safety, of course, as always. That's a pretty big area of concern for OpenAI. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds with all that stuff today, but of course, everything is linked down in the description below. Now, guys, I obviously don't have access yet since I'm a Plus user. As you can see, there's sadly nothing new in my OpenAI toolbox. But at the very least, they have a bunch of demos we can look at, and even the community members who already have access have been sharing some things online.
It may be a while for the whole world to evolve to an AI agent-centric worldview, and so I think we should do what we can to meet the world where it's at. My name is John. I work on the deep research and agents teams at OpenAI. One great use case that comes up a lot is you have some kind of budget file, and whenever you do that, it's kind of a pain. It takes maybe 4 to 8 hours, and that's kind of your day. I'm going to show you an example where the agent sources information on the city of San Francisco's annual budget, expenses, and revenues for the past 5 years, and it's going to compile that all into one nicely formatted spreadsheet. It goes on by itself. I usually just close my laptop, go grab a coffee, maybe I have lunch. So first it needs to find the data. So it probably does a web search to figure out where it can find this San Francisco city budget information. Once it finds the San Francisco city government website, it will try to access the PDF files. So it has its own file system and everything. Then it needs to extract maybe 200 numbers from each PDF. And finally, it will have one command that will generate the entire spreadsheet all at once. If you go back to the chat, you'll see the final response. And let me just open it now. Yeah, I think it got 98% of the information correct. It also formatted the Excel workbook as I instructed it to. In this case, the revisions were small, so I just made them within Excel because it was just a copy paste. But absolutely, you can make them in ChatGPT. I would say just try it out. If it can do 95% of the actual time-consuming part of the work, that's going to save you a ton of time.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. It's really interesting because it feels like 80% of what was just described could have been done before by O3. I'm really excited to see where the line is drawn with this. I feel like I could ask O3 right now to make me a spreadsheet of some form. It's probably a similar prompt like that. Would it do as good of a job? Would it be as detailed? I don't know. I mean, it's even a different model under the hood powering the whole system, again, trained on the tools. I want to know where the ground has been made up.
So we have been on this journey of not just improving our models, but the tools the model can use. And it's kind of like a symbiosis of some kind. The better the tools are, the better the agent can use it. The better the agent is, the more powerful tool it can use, and it goes on and on. I'm Devashish. I'm an engineer, and I work on the product team in OpenAI. People in their daily lives, at work or in personal life, they use a variety of tools. And we are just training the model to take advantage of all of these things. And you're just giving the agent as much power as possible. Today, I asked agent to book me an itinerary to go to a tennis tournament in Palm Springs next year. Find me an itinerary that works around the semifinals, because that's going to be really exciting. And the agent is basically going to give me a detailed itinerary of how much it's going to cost, what activities we should be doing at every part of the day. And in order to give it additional spin, we also asked it to look at my calendar and figure out what flight times would work for me. My dream has come true. I just tell it what to do, and then I can walk away. First thing that the model has to do is figure out which tools does it need. It'll bring up the visual browser. I use connectors to connect my personal data. So I give agent access to my Gmail and my Google Calendar so that it can access that data. Then the first thing that it needs to do is actually figure out what the tournament dates are. When am I available? How much would it cost? Where am I going to eat? And when can I get the tickets? And it just goes through this process for all 3 days of my itinerary. When the agent is ready, it'll send you a notification on your phone or on your laptop, and you can check what the agent has done, review it. It did pretty well. It figured out essentially that the tournament is basically happening from March 12th to March 15th. Then it figured out that my meetings on March 12th end at 4:30, and it takes about an hour to go from here to SFO because of the traffic. So it figured out like what time of flights actually work for me. And then it figured out basically like which hotel I'm gonna stay at, when I'm attending the matches, and where should I be eating. Everybody has like some sort of like uninteresting part of the job, like researching, looking here, doing this. You just want to get to the thing. And Agent lets me do that.
You know, I gotta say, again, O3 is my current daily driver, and it's honestly quite agentic. I have used it to plan things out for the future in a similar fashion. Is it going to be as accurate? Maybe not. Maybe it's missing out on certain resources because it can't access that operator-style real computer use. It's gonna come down to the taste testing, really, once I get my hands on it and once I can use it. A lot of this stuff I honestly do have a lot of success with right now. You know, a lot of times I'll ping O3 for a certain task, like planning a trip out or something. It gives me a bunch of options or a list of potential options, and then I review them independently because it can miss things, and I want to see pictures, for example, and I might have really specific requirements. ChatGPT might be able to find some of those things, but it doesn't have the same visual access like a person. It can't operate a computer like a real person. I'm thinking this, if it really does go off and use Operator in that fashion, maybe the limits will be able to be pushed much, much farther. And again, I do have some tasks in mind that I want to talk to you guys about to do that. All right, customization.
If you give someone a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Now we've got the whole toolbox. It can do so many different things, and it's smart enough to actually know which tool to use in the right situation. I'm Nick. I'm an engineer on the Agent team. One of the really exciting things that we've done with Agent now is that you can give it these connectors, your Gmail connector or your Dropbox connector, so it then can understand who you are by learning about your history, what you've done, what you like, and with that information, go out and make better decisions, take better actions on your behalf because it knows you. I
Hey,
want
ChatGPT, can you fix my life?
night with my fiance, so I'm gonna get Agent to do it for me. I have
night.
already set up for Agent my Google Calendar connector. When I ask it to book me a reservation, it knows when I'm available. I'll just write a simple task, find me a sushi restaurant in San Francisco, and make a reservation on OpenTable for any night I have available. I've said that my fiance is gluten-free. That is just like a valuable thing for ChatGPT to always know about me. And so I don't want to have to type that in every time. It just knows that that's it. I can just close my laptop and go do something else. It comes up with some sort of high-level plan. Here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna search for restaurants. I'm gonna check Nick's availability, and then I'm gonna cross-check and make sure that these are good restaurants. To do that, it has to start using the tools that it has at its disposal. So now we've provided it with both visual browser, which it can use to click around and do things that are more visual. It also has the text browser. So if it just needs to ingest a lot of information really quickly with my Google Calendar connector, it can just make an API call and get that information right away. Basically, it got me all the way there. It's found this restaurant, Kusakabe, in San Francisco for next week. It's a great choice. So I'm pretty happy with what it's done so far. Every once in a while, I'm just, taken aback by it a little bit. It does something that I didn't expect, or it's better than I realized, and it's getting better faster than I'm realizing. Yeah, I probably have that moment like once a week at least.
Okay, again, that's something that I feel like I could send off to O3. Now, actually scheduling the reservation for me at OpenTable, that's going to be a little bit more tricky. There are agentic AIs, though, that can do stuff like that now, but hopefully this is faster, again, more seamless, and doesn't fail so often like we have seen with those agentic AIs in the past. These demos that OpenAI are showing off are pretty lightweight, honestly, in my opinion. I have some heavier things in mind. So I've got some prompts of my own that I want to go over with you guys. You can let me know in the comments if they're good or bad. And of course, if you have any ideas of your own for prompts, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do read comments, and they could definitely make it in my actual hands-on testing video. And I might even do a live stream too. Okay, my first thought, can it make video games? This is a pretty typical test. We see Grok 4 do video games. We see Claude 4, Gemini 2.5 Pro, even O3. A lot of times, though, they just write the code and give you a little bit of a tutorial on how to set it up and run it for yourself. I want to see how far this thing can get into just giving me a file ready to go, just ready to play the game. Maybe even download certain sprites, certain backgrounds. You know, how far can we take this thing with agentic coding and game making? You have to remember, this thing has access to the terminal. It can write and run code. It can use certain APIs and browse the web like a human. It can make files and file systems. And I hear you guys in the comments already. You might say, you know, OpenAI's models are pretty good at coding, but they're not as good as 2.5 Pro or Claude 4. I hear ya. What happens when you give it access to Gemini 2.5? Say, just prompt Gemini 2.5 for the code. Just don't write the code yourself. Prompt a different AI for it, grab the code, and then use that. Simple enough, right? I mean, why wouldn't that work? You'd of course have to be logged in, but you can take control at any point and log yourself in. So we can definitely test it. Another one that I test quite frequently is, can it make a great used budget PC build? Typically, I do this on like PC Part Picker, where it essentially has a list of options it can pick through for each, individual computer part. But for this one, I would want to try to actually go find used listings on eBay and discounts on certain computer store sites and prep everything for me to buy with the total cost. I think that would be pretty cool. Also, can it play games? Can we take it to like cool math games? Hey, play, Run 2. Like simple point-and-click games, maybe? Chess? Something like that. I would love to see if it has that visual understanding and timekeeping to keep up with something like that. I have a feeling a game that is a little bit more real-time, like Run 2, probably not going to work, but turn-based things, maybe Balloons Tower Defense? I don't know. That would be super interesting. I also want to see how this thing does with basic fact-checking. This is pretty huge. I use O3 a lot for fact-checking. It's pretty darn good, I have to say. But when AI retrieves information online, a lot of times it will run into little barriers or blocks set in place to prevent bots or agents. It can grab metadata, it can browse certain sites, but this, with the actual agentic virtual browser computer use, it can take screenshots, actually ingest and understand what the website looks like, how it's presenting the information, even image analysis. If it's too blurry, this guy who passed away at some point and, this meme says that he's back. Maybe that's not true. It's just a blurry image. Not to mention, it also, again, like I said, has access to a file system, so it could potentially make notes for its future self with a complex prompt. There's a lot of ideas that you can try with this thing. So my brain is absolutely humming. I can't wait to get access. Before we go, let's check out what the community is saying about this and what people are trying today. You can see Matt Wolf is already refreshing his ChatGPT Pro account. I do not have Pro, and I'm not going to pay for it since Plus is already getting access. I'm not seeing anyone so far in his replies that actually has access yet, so seems like the only people that have access right now are those that were actually given early access, because some people, the high taste testers, were. Here is Dan Shipper. ChatGPT Agent is wild. He asked it to identify our core customer and our biggest missing features for their Cora computer company. It scanned through 1,500 support emails and hundreds of support forum posts to pull together a full report on who loves us, who hates us, and why. Really like that. You can see the way that it's structuring this response is very similar to what you would get now from O3 or even GPT-4o, but it's not about the size of the response necessarily, it's about the juicy details inside them. You can't give 4.0 or O3 direct access to 1,500 emails like this, or even the forum post necessarily. I mean, you could go get that data yourself and bring it back, but this is just a simple prompt you send off and get back. If you prep, yeah, you can get to this level with what we have now, but this is easier. He said this one took about 20 minutes. How long would it take you to comb through 1,500 emails and a couple of hundred forum posts and develop a report like that? Probably more than 20 minutes, probably a whole day. So this thing is getting powerful, man. It is getting powerful. We also got our boy Pliny in here making a statement on how the new agent is getting really close to human level on white-collar work tasks. We're talking real job replacement scenarios. ChatGPT is already totally changing the way people do work and replacing some jobs, but this is a whole nother level of automation and task completion. Ethan Mullock here got early access to ChatGPT Agent, and in his opinion, it's a big step forward for getting AIs to do real-world tasks. Even at this stage, it does a good job autonomously doing research and assembling Excel files with formulas, or PowerPoints, etc. It gives a sense of how agents are coming together. It seems like the next stepping stone forward. Wow, for this example, you can see it worked for 38 minutes. You know, what's really cool about this too is it seems like he had a conversation with it prior. He gives it a basic prompt, it comes back with some follow-up questions. Again, kind of like you're working with a human, but it gives you that response quick, 9 seconds. You give it an answer, it has a couple of more questions. That answer comes in 5 seconds. You give your final response, and then it goes ahead and works for like 40 minutes and then comes back with your final result. I like that you can still have a conversation with it though. It doesn't just go off and do, 20 minutes of work. It actually asks you to clarify things so you do get the best result out of what you're doing. Especially if you're asking it about something that you really aren't too clued into. You can see some spreadsheets that it's working through. There's the formulas up there. Not too bad. I can't say my personal spreadsheets are much better. Yeah, you can see it does the slide, pitch deck. It's looking pretty basic, but not bad. It feels so much more like working with an actual intern capable of a wider range of analytical and computer tasks, and like an intern, you want to give it feedback and work back and forth. Not all the way there yet, but the paradigm is shifting from prompting to delegating. Absolutely agree. I even felt that with O3. Feels like a cross between Manus and O3. Manus is capable of somewhat more complex tasks, but Agents is better at integrating research and doing a wider range of tasks well. Well, that's all I have to say for now, guys. I'm really sorry that I don't have any hands-on footage of me using it, but I'm just not going to pay the extra $180 for Pro Access to get it a couple of days early. I don't think you should do it either, unless, like I mentioned, you're already using it to actively increase value in your business or something like that. But it seems like a good drop from OpenAI, guys. What else do they have in store for us this summer, I wonder? It's also kind of a nice clapback at Grok 4's Humanity's Last Exam scores. Anyways, folks, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and goodbye.